Well, good day, subscribers. Welcome in. My name is Mr. Top Hat Jeremy, and today we are talking about the top 5 stock market apps that I use on a regular basis. Some of these apps I use literally every single day. Some of them I use a couple times a week, guys, and we're going to kind of look at them, and I'm going to kind of show you what I actually like about these apps and what I don't like as someone that's used these apps for a pretty long time, the majority of them. Some of these apps I've used for years and years, so I have a pretty good insight on what to use with some of these apps and what to stay away from with some of these apps. So I hope you really enjoy this today. By the way, like, all these apps are pretty relevant apps, whether you're a long-term investor in the stock market, whether you're a short-term investor, or I should say a short-term trader of stocks, whether you're a short seller, it doesn't really matter. Like, these type of apps we're talking about here today, they're good across the board regardless of your situation. So hope you guys enjoy this. Give it a thumbs up if you do. And by the way, in that comment section, I want to know what your favorite stock market app is, the one that is your favorite, the one you use more than any. Let me know in that comment section. I would love to hear from you guys. We'll kind of tally it up at the end, and we'll see what stock market app wins, which one is used the most by you guys out there. Let's get into this. So the first one right off the bat is the one I use the least of the bunch, okay? Fidelity Investments. This is my brokerage I actually use, and this one I don't use a lot because I'm a long-term investor in companies. I don't place that many trades. When I do place a trade, generally it's to buy more shares of some kind of company, okay? And as far as buying shares, like maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. So I probably only log into Fidelity maybe 2 times a week, okay? 2 times a week is probably about right for me, all right? But I love Fidelity. I've been with them for about 10 years now. Phenomenal brokerage. You can see everything you really want to see as soon as you click on your portfolio, which is what I care about. You know, if you want to care about what amount of money you made or lost that particular day, the total amount you're up on that position, and a dollar amount and a percent, it shows you, okay? It automatically calculates all your different cost bases. So if you purchase at many different cost bases, it'll automatically calculate it and tell you your dollar amount and your percent you're up or down on that position. It shows you your current value of that position. It shows you the quantity of shares you own in that particular stock, and it shows you also your overall cost basis on those shares, what that dollar amount is, and also it shows you the actual dollar amount there of what your cost basis actually cost you. Fidelity Investments, like, when you've been using a product for, like, a lot of people like ask me, why do I love Fidelity so much? When you've been using something for a decade and you have nothing bad to say about it, that means it's probably a pretty good product, okay? That's probably a pretty good product at the end of the day. I've never had an issue with them. Nothing but good things to say about them. So, but that's the one I use the least, but that still makes the top 5. All right, let's get into depth here. Starting at number 4, all right? This one is a newer app I found a couple months ago that a friend let me know about. It's called Simply Wall Street. Okay, it's a pretty cool app. So basically, you click on the app and you can make your own portfolio of stocks and whatnot. The tab I love is a tab that's called Ideas. On this Ideas tab, this is pretty cool. Okay, people always ask me, like, do you have? How do you come up with so many stocks? Well, one of the ways is through this new app. Okay, I get stocks thrown at me all the time from a lot of places. I'm always reading, so I read about a ton of stocks. But this app can be a phenomenal place to kind of start some research, and if you're kind of like, man, I can't find any companies to invest in, I need to look for some more companies. This app can be phenomenal because on the Ideas tab, you can sort it by different things, right? So you can sort it by, like, the most popular stocks, okay? So the Apple comes up here, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, some of the most popular stocks. You can sort it by that, all right? And you can also sort it by region. Here we're looking at United States. The next tab over is pretty interesting. It's called an undervalued tab. So what this does is it basically shows you companies that are potentially undervalued based on future cash flows and basically PE ratios. That's a pretty cool tab. You can sort it by high growth companies, all right? Companies that analysts expect to have high earnings, revenue, and cash flow growth for the next 3 years. There's also a tab called dividend, which shows you kind of like established dividend payers that pay significant amounts of dividends. There's the next tab I love is a large cap high growth potential. So this is a little more like bigger type companies that have big growth ahead of them, all right? A really cool app as far as all that goes. And like I said, I love it for getting ideas. So you go search, growth stocks if you want, or undervalued stocks or whatever, and you kind of look there and you click on them a little bit and you're like, that looks like a pretty interesting idea. And then you go research it more and you actually click on that company's investor relations. So you're like, let's say you go to large cap high growth and you see there's a company company name, Align Technology, okay? I think that's a company that makes invisible braces and whatnot. You're like, that looks like a pretty interesting company. Then you go go to that page's, that company's investor relations page. You Google that, that pops up. You can go start reading the 10Ks, 10Qs, listening to conference calls, doing your in-depth research. But the spark, the idea, all came from that app right there, okay? So it's a pretty cool thing in terms of finding more stocks to look into that you want to look into seriously and whatnot. I do not recommend it as far as just like looking at it and be like, oh, this says this stock is undervalued, I'm going to buy that stock. Or it says this stock's high growth, I'm going to buy that stock. I do not recommend it for that. I recommend it as a starting point to go do more research on stocks. It's a pretty cool thing, all right? Next one I use here, the third app, is Seeking Alpha, okay? Seeking Alpha is a pretty cool app. So basically you log in and you can have kind of like a portfolio of stocks. I have a bunch of different stocks I like to watch there on the left-hand side, all right? And then basically on the right-hand side, it's going to show you any stories that have kind of come out in relation to those stocks, or if those stocks were mentioned in a particular article or something that people have wrote about. Actual humans have wrote articles about and whatnot, okay? So here I just clicked on an article. Skyworks is one of the stocks I track on Seeking Alpha. And somebody wrote an article here today that says Skyworks deserves a higher multiple, and basically it goes all into detail. This guy goes into detail on why he believes Skyworks Solution stock deserves a higher multiple than it has right now. That's a really cool thing, and just kind of interesting to see other people's ideas in stocks, and sometimes somebody has a better idea than you, or somebody's vantage point might kind of twist your vantage point a little bit, and you kind of understand it from a bearish perspective or bullish perspective in that stock. You're like, I never really thought about that. This is a pretty good idea that this person comes up with. I think it's real interesting to read. Also, I love it for the fact that there's comments. So you can also read comments from a bunch of different people that are invested in that stock or short that stock, or just interested in that stock in general, which is usually, if somebody's writing about a stock, generally they're either long or short on that position if they're writing in the comment section, because most people don't just read random stocks, right? So really cool stuff. I love those different features about the app, the Seeking Alpha. You just read about what different people think about things. Also, there's another tab called News, all right? The News app is going to show you any recent news that came out in relation to some of those stocks, okay? So here we got some Apple news that came out. Apple confirms bug issue causing MacBook Pro performance to go down. There's another article about bull market and Tesla CDs. There's another article about Square and eBay team up to offer loans to underserved small businesses. Pretty cool stuff there. The next tab over is also extremely beneficial. It's a transcripts tab, which basically, so all the stocks I kind of track here on Seeking Alpha, all their latest conference calls, the transcripts are right there. So if you're someone that doesn't want to listen to conference calls and you'd rather read it, which sometimes, most of the time I listen to conference calls because I like to hear tonality, the CEO's tone, the CFO's tone in relation to something. But sometimes, sometimes honestly it's the CEO that's a little hard to understand, right? And it's great to just kind of read the transcript and something like that, guys. So I love that app. Like Seeking Alpha is awesome app. Just good things to say about it overall. Next one up here is Stock Tracker. So this one I use every single day, Monday through Friday. Okay, every single day, Monday through Friday, I am using the Stock Tracker app. I usually open it at least a couple times a day, probably 2, maybe 3 times a day. And this is what I use as my daily driver for just kind of seeing what's going on with stock price performance of stocks I own or stocks I am keeping track of. So on my list, I think I have 75 stocks or somewhere around there, 75, 78 stocks. And basically the way I sort it is like my biggest positions to my smallest positions, to then like stocks I'm thinking about buying sometime soon, to then companies, that I'm just kind of keeping track of as possibilities to buy eventually. And so that's kind of what I do. Now, when you click on a stock, so let's click on L Brands here. What it's going to show you is you're going to be able to sort the chart however you want. So a chart's going to pop up kind of showing you where that stock's stock price has gone. So you can do it by 1 day, 5 day, by the last 1 month, 3 month is what this is clicked on. It looks at the last 3 months where that stock's gone. 6-month, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, or the maximum distance back you can go, which I think sometimes it's in the 90s, sometimes it's in the 80s, depends on the stock. And then we go ahead and we go down a little bit there, and it also shows you the volume, the amount of shares that trade there. It shows you the PE ratio, the EPS, the dividend, the average volume, the beta, the market cap of that company, the dividend yield, a lot of useful information there. Further down, then we get to see the EPS numbers, like what they've done, in the past few quarters, as far as what that was estimated that for them to do as far as EPS goes versus what that company actually reported for numbers. It also shows kind of like a basic profile of what that company does and whatnot. Pretty cool stuff. I really like this app a lot. Now, the other tabs, I will say, the news tab is pretty crap on this app. Analysis, not a huge fan. Technical, financial, not a huge fan. And the discuss tab, it's a cool feature, but the problem is there's way too much spam on that tab. It's just a lot of spam crap out there. But bottom line is that's my daily driver on Monday through Friday as far as, I want to look at what my stock prices are doing. What am I going to? Stock tracker app. Always. I'm going there before I log into my Fidelity account or before I go to any other app out there. And that's why it's my number 2 app I use. This next app is an app I pretty much go to every single day, regardless if it's a weekday, a weekend, or anything like that. Just a very good app overall. Number 1 is the CNBC app. CNBC app, why do I basically log into this every single day? It's a great app in terms of just finding out financial news, stuff that's going on out there in the markets in relation to whether we're talking about stocks, macroeconomics, just kind of big news stories in general. As we see on the left-hand side there, we got first off a clickbait article there. Southern California home sales crash. What a clickbait. That's a great clickbait article there because it's not really true at all. It's basically because there's low inventory. Makes it sound like no one wants to buy a home or something when that's not the case at all. But you see there's just a ton of different basically news stories that have come out recently here. Also, you can see how the markets are doing overall, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ and whatnot. A tab I love are the market movers tab, okay? So basically this shows you kind of like you can see the Dow 30 top movers, okay, in terms of percent of going up. You can also see the Dow 30 bottom movers, meaning the stocks that are going down the most in the Dow 30. You can see the S&P 500, the top moving stocks, the ones that are going up the most. You can also see S&P 500, the ones that are performing the worst in that particular day. Whirlpool, my goodness, that one's having a tough day, down nearly 14% there. NASDAQ, you can look at the NASDAQ 100 top movers. Google's having a very good day after those earnings they reported. Then you can also see the ones that are having a really tough day. Hasbro's there, a bunch of other stocks there. Pretty cool stuff there. The other reason I love this app is pre-markets. Generally, before I go to bed every single night, I'll generally just look at what the pre-markets are doing. Kind of, are they looking like it's going to be a strong day tomorrow? Is it going to be a weekday and things like that? I'll pretty much always go to the pre-markets. And then the other tab I really love on this app is the latest video tab, which is just kind of shows you what the latest videos are, and you can watch them. Most of them are available for free to watch and whatnot. Without actually having to be watching CNBC on your TV. You can watch it on demand there. Different interviews are doing with people, different people's opinion. Pretty cool stuff. I definitely use, like I said, that app is pretty much every single day, regardless, even if it's a weekend. I'm probably going on the CNBC app at some point in time. I would love to know from you guys what your favorite app is out there. I would love to know in that comment section. And if there are any apps I mentioned here that look interesting, let me know in that comment section as well. I would love to hear from you guys as always. Make sure you follow me on Instagram if you have not already. I post a ton of Instagram stories in relation to stock news, just news in relation to the channel, news in relation to me. It doesn't matter. A lot of different stuff, a lot of great content there on Instagram. Make sure you follow me if you have not already. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.